Number two reason why you're going to run out of money in retirement. Running out of money in retirement. Remember, you literally can't run out of money in retirement because you're still going to have Social Security. Now, that might not be that much, but it's an impossibility to run out of money in retirement because Social Security will be there. But what we're talking about is running out of liquid assets, financial assets. Let's check this out. Again, this is going back to this article. 14 key signs you will run out of money in retirement. So let's go look at here. You're underestimated your life expectancy. Your retirement could easily be more expensive than you thought if you live a lot longer than you expected. About 1 in 4 65-year-olds today will live to be the age of 90, according to the Social Security Administration. So stop there. Hold the presses. So 25% will be 90. Don't most people plan for a 30-year retirement and only 25% will be 90? All right. So we're not underestimating our life expectancy right there at all. 25% of 65-year-old will be 90 years old. That's it. And yet we all plan for a 30-year retirement plan. If you saved enough to cover expenses for 20 years but end up living for 30, see how they get you? See how they do this? So if 1 in 4 at 65 live to 90, that's 25 years, Yahoo. But now they're throwing you curveball. See, this is how they do it, man. You got to understand the media. Then you have to find a way to stretch your savings for another 10 years. What to do? Some guy recommended using life expectancy calculator at Lived at 100 to get an estimate of how long you'll live based on your health and family history. No, don't do that. I mean, you could. I can go call with it, but I'm just saying I'm going to show you a better way. To reduce the risk of outliving your savings, you shouldn't rely on just one source of income in retirement. You should have a portfolio of diversified investments. You should take a balanced approach by having a source of lifetime income such as an annuity. Limit withdrawals to about 4% to ensure you let nest egg last long enough. Yeah, none of that's that limit to ensure. I like how they say the word ensure. Limit withdrawals about 4%. All right, so I want to show you something. This is from the Social Security Administration life expectancy tables. Now, personally, I love stuff like this. So we're going to use a male because at least we can define a male. We can't define what a female is. Our new Supreme Court justice can't define what a female is. So we're going to use a male because we know what a male is, right? Because who knows what a woman is anymore. But remember, we're pro-women, said the Democrats. Can't wait to see all the arrows. I wish you'd stop your political ranting. Well, you're on the wrong channel then. So we're going to take a 65-year, let's do a 60. So this, the third column is a 60-year-old male. In the 1900s, a 60-year-old male had a life expectancy of 14 more years, so he'll live to he's 74. Hope that makes sense. All right, so the life expectancy of a 60-year-old male in 1900 was still 74. Fast forward all the way forward to 2022, 21 years. That's 81. So we've gone up by 50% life expectancy because we've gone up by 7 years from 14. I wonder why that could possibly be. Think of all the jabs they give you? No. Think of all the increases in medical technology? No. Indoor plumbing and natural gas to heat your food in your home without having tuberculosis and lung disease because you're using wood to heat your home. Just that simple. Natural gas, plumbing, oil, all these things where you don't actually burn wood inside your house and have lung disease. Just look at tuberculosis, look at lung disease. We'll do another video next. I think it's interesting. So all these years later, all the jabs, all the stuff, all this, that, and the other, we've only increased our life expectancy by 7 years, or 50%. And I know that sounds huge. Oh my goodness, 50%. It's not. It went from 74 to 81. Wow. All right, so now, but here's the big increases in life expectancy, as I've talked about a million times a Sunday. 46 for a baby to 76 now. All right, so that's a significant jump because we wash our hands. A la Ignaz Semmelweis, who told us that, but of course he went against the medical establishment at that time, and they booted him out to an insane asylum. All right, so I just want to point out again, our life expectancy for a 60-year-old today in 2022 is only 21 years old. That's it. 21 years more. That's it. 81. Life expectancy for a 65-year-old today is only 17 more years. That's it. There's no 30-year retirement plans in any of this stuff. None. So 17 plus 65 is 82. That's the life expectancy according to Social Security tables. Period life expectancy, select ages by sex and calendar year. That's it, man. And again, I would go over to the women, but I don't know what a woman is because we can't define that. So when we say you underestimate your life expectancy, about 1 in 4, a 65-year-old live to 90. The vast majority don't live to 90. They're a guy. If you saved enough to cover for 20 years but end up living for 30 years, you could have to find a way to stretch for another 10 years. That's true. Well, I don't disagree with that, but the likelihood of you underestimating your life expectancy is small. The likelihood of you overestimating your life expectancy is much higher. And we know that because, again, most people are 60 years old. They, for some reason, think they're going to live until they're 90, and they're just not going to do it. 21 is life expectancy. That means half the people die before that anyway, by the way. All right, so let's keep looking. My favorite charts of all time is the Social Security mortality tables. I just love this. This is a select year for period life table in 2019. So they're going to show us how many people are alive at birth. All right, so they didn't get aborted. They're at birth. We do divide by male and female here. So at some point, I'm not sure what it's going to say unknown, but who knows. But we're going to go back to male because, again, we can't define what a female is. Thanks, Katanji. 100,000. So if you can't define what a female is, why should we have this whole thing on women in business and stuff? Doesn't make sense. All right. So you got 100,000 lives at 0. They all birth. All right. And by the time they're 5 years old, let's say 10 years old right here, basically how many died? 773 have died by the time they're 10. So we start with 100,000 at 0. By the time they're 10, 73 have died. By the time they're 20, basically 1,200 died. By the time they're 30, 2,700 have died. By the time they're 40, 5,000 died. By the time they're 50, 8,000 died. By the time they're 60, 15,000 have died. You see where I'm going here? By the time they're 70, 72,000 have died. By the time they're 80, keep with me here, 51,000 have died. And right there, 81 years old. All right, so that would be the average life expectancy. It says, look, you're going to live between 80 and 81 years old on average. I hope that makes sense. So that means of the 100,000 people that were born at year 0, 50,000 are still alive basically by the year 80 and a half, by the time they turn 80 and a half. All right, so we go from 81 to 91. Oh my goodness. 30,000 people of the 48,000 who are still around have died. So we take our trusty calculator, we say 30, divide by 48. That means 62.5% of the people who are alive here have died there. Does that make sense? 62.5%. Thus, you're probably going to survive until you're 70, mid-70s, but by the time you're 80, you're not likely to survive until you're 90. You're just not, my friends. And you're certainly not going to survive until you're 95. Only 6,000 are remaining from 81. So we had 48,000 people alive at 81, only 6,000 by the time they're, 95. So the next, if you're 81 years old, you got 48 minus 6. 42 divided by 48, only 12.5% of the people still lived by the time they're 90. That makes sense? So if you were lucky enough to survive until you're basically 80, there's a 62.5% chance you die by the time you're 90, and there's an 87.5% chance you die by 95. So how many people are actually underestimating their life expectancy? Not too many. All right, so let's just say again, we'll start here. If you're lucky enough to survive until you're 60, all right, but by the time you're 80, we have 85,000 at 60. We have 51,000 by 80. So 30. So look at this, man. What do we have? 85 minus 51. So 85 minus 51 divided by 85. 40% of the people died between 60 and 80. 40%. It's a good argument to say I'm going to take Social Security early. You got to look at your health. I get it, but still. By the time you're 85, we had 50 divided by 85. 60% of the people died before they hit 85 who survive until they're 60. Crazy. Now, if you're like, I'm 55, you still look, 89,000 people, 4,000 people died between 50 and 60. Not a huge amount, but what was that, 4,000 divided by 89? That's still a 4.5% mortality rate. I highly suspect you're overestimating your life expectancy, not underestimating it. So if you're playing, I got to live for 30 years, you're 65 years old. Show me the evidence, man. Well, my grandma, I get it. I get it. There's anecdotal evidence for everything, man. There's an old guy right now who can lift a car over his head. I get it. 100%. That's not likely. Why would you base your retirement plan on that? Not only that, why would you sit in some crappy old job based on that? It doesn't make any sense. In fact, I would say it's stupid. All right, love your thoughts. We'll see ya.